My name is Nora Vale. I'm 27 years old, and for most of my life, I've been the good daughter. You know the type: reliable, quiet, no drama. I got decent grades, never wrecked a car, never brought home the wrong guy, and never said no when it came to helping out. Especially when it came to my sister Elena. She's 4 years older. Married. A mother of 3 identical triplet boys who are somehow always sticky. Elena is the shining star in my parents' universe. Loud, confident, chaotic, but in a way that everyone romanticizes. She's just overwhelmed, they'd say. She's doing her best. And I was expected to understand. Always. Because I didn't have kids. Because I wasn't married. Because apparently independence is just another word for available. I work as an interior designer in Silverpine, a quiet Pacific Northwest town just remote enough to be charming but close enough to real life that people still think their opinions matter. My job is creative and demanding. I love it. But my family sees it as a flexible little hobby. Because if I can draw on a tablet, I can also change diapers and wipe tears and clean up after boys who think spaghetti belongs on walls. Last summer was the tipping point. We were heading to the coast, a so-called family vacation at Mirador Beach. I had been counting down for months. I even saved up to buy myself a week off, actual PTO. I pictured quiet coffee shops, early morning beach walks, maybe an art gallery or 2. But the moment I stepped out of the car, everything shifted. Elena and her husband, Nathan, got the master suite with an ocean view and a spa tub. My parents got a queen room with its own balcony. And me? I was handed a key to the kids' room. 1 twin bed. 3 boys. No lock on the door. Mom smiled like this was a generous gift. They love you, Nora. You're their favorite. And we really need some alone time after the drive. That night, one boy screamed because he'd lost his favorite stuffed dinosaur. Another peed the bed. The third whispered to me every 10 minutes asking if I thought ghosts could drown. I didn't sleep. Not even a little. The next morning I tried to sneak away. Just an hour. 1 hour to visit the seafront gallery. But before I could tie my shoes, Elena texted. Where are you going? Nathan's taking a work call. Need you for a bit. A bit turned into 3 hours. Then lunch. Then cleanup. Then dinner. I was the silent assistant in a vacation I hadn't planned. That night, as I picked Cheerios out of my hair in the dim bathroom, I saw my reflection and barely recognized myself. I sunk in, shoulders slumped. I felt invisible. Used. And I hated myself more than I hated them for letting it happen. Again. But I said nothing. I packed up my emotions and buried them. Because that's what I've always done. Until now. This year they didn't even ask. The group chat buzzed with fake cheer. Summer trip 2.0. Followed by a PDF itinerary. Elena posted a gif of champagne. My mom added, Nora, I've already booked 2 rooms. 1 for us, 1 for the kids. Same setup as last year, okay? Red heart. Okay? I stared at my screen, my hands trembling. Like I was just inserted into their plan without a second thought. Like I didn't get to choose. But this time I did something different. I replied, thanks, but I've booked my own room. I'll drive separately. I'll join group stuff, but I need my own space. Mom called within minutes. Her voice tight, rehearsed. Why would you waste money like that? It's all already arranged. I kept my voice calm. Because last year I didn't sleep. I didn't rest. I was the help. This time I want a vacation too. A pause. Then a colder voice. Elena will have her hands full. Is that really fair to her? That's when it hit me. In their eyes, I'm not a person. I'm a utility. The family fixer. The free labor. The perfect daughter who doesn't need help because she is the help. That night, Elena messaged me. I'm really hurt. You know how hard things are for me. I just wanted us to be together. You're single. No kids. You have time. Why can't you help a little? Something snapped. I didn't scream. I didn't reply. I opened Reddit. Made a throwaway account. Wrote a post. Poured my soul into it. Every overlooked frustration. Every guilt trip masked as affection. Every moment where silence was expected from me and support demanded. ATA for refusing to be the default babysitter just because I'm single? I hit publish and closed my laptop. Didn't think about it. Not until morning. When I woke up, the post had gone viral. Thousands of people. Comments flooding in. You're not wrong. Your family's manipulating you. This is emotional labor and it's not free. But what I didn't expect was for Elena to see it. She called me at 6:04 a.m. Her voice wasn't hurt. It was furious. Did you really write that? Do you know how many people are calling me selfish now? You made me a joke to the internet. I didn't flinch. I didn't name you. If people recognized you, maybe you should think about why. That silence? That beat where she didn't know what to say? That was the moment everything changed. Because truth, real, ugly, burning truth, is a mirror. And Elena just saw her own reflection for the first time. I thought the story would end there. But I was wrong. Because what started as a Reddit post was about to shatter everything. And by the time the vacation rolled around, I wasn't just reclaiming my time. I was going to expose everything they buried under the label of family. Even if I had to burn the entire illusion to the ground. I didn't expect the Reddit post to explode. I thought maybe a handful of people would read it. A few kind comments. Some validation to soothe the ache in my chest, but what I got was a wave. Thousands of voices. Strangers who had no reason to lie, no obligation to play nice. And they all said the same thing. You're not selfish. You've been used. Your family doesn't value you, they value what you do for them. I read every comment. I stayed up all night scrolling through replies with shaking hands and tears I didn't understand. Was it relief? Sadness? Rage? Maybe all of it. One message stood out. It said, they don't want you to change. Because if you do, they'll have to look at themselves. That sentence haunted me because it was true. I wasn't the problem. My boundaries were. And that made me dangerous. 3 days after the post went viral, Mom called again. Her voice had that performance softness she used when she wanted to sound kind but keep control. Sweetheart, you embarrassed your sister. Everyone's calling her names. I didn't post names. They just saw the behavior and called it what it was. Silence, then a sigh, like I had disappointed her by not staying quiet. You used to be more understanding. No, I used to be more obedient. That's what she meant. Elena went nuclear. She texted, called, messaged me through Facebook, even sent a voice note that started off weepy and ended with her screaming. You've ruined everything. You humiliated me. Josh is furious. He's been sleeping on the couch. Do you even care about what you've done to this family? That last word, family, like it was a weapon, like I had shattered something sacred, but I hadn't broken anything. I had just stopped hiding the cracks. And Josh, well, he surprised me. He messaged me privately. Simple. Straightforward. I read your post. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have been treated that way. I stared at that message for a long time. Josh had always seemed distant. Like Elena spoke for both of them. But this time he didn't ask me to apologize. He didn't try to guilt me. He just acknowledged the truth. That meant more than I could say. The day of the trip arrived. I didn't wait for them. I packed my suitcase the night before, booked a room at a quiet boutique hotel a mile away from the beachfront rental they were staying in, and left before sunrise. The drive was peaceful. Windows down. My playlist humming. The road empty. It felt like freedom. Until my phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. I wasn't in the mood for another guilt parade, but a text followed. We're at the rest stop. We'll wait 15 minutes. Please don't make this more difficult. I ignored it. I had already told them I was driving alone. I had booked my own room. Set my own plans. I wasn't going back on that. When I finally arrived, I checked into my hotel and told the front desk to put a note on file. Do not share my room number with anyone. Family or not. The receptionist nodded like she'd heard it 1,000 times before. You'd be surprised how many guests ask for that. You're good. Damn right I was. I dropped my bag in the room, opened the balcony door, and let the sound of waves rush in. Finally, I could breathe. But of course, that didn't last long. My phone buzzed again. Elena. I almost didn't answer. But something in me, curiosity maybe, pressed the green icon. Her voice cut through immediately. So you're really doing this? Turning a family vacation into your solo pity parade? I leaned against the railing, staring out at the water. It's not a pity parade. I just want space. You have space. You don't have kids. You don't have a husband. Your entire life is space. I laughed, bitter, tired. That doesn't mean I owe mine to you. Nathan slammed with work. The boys are wild. And Mom and Dad are too old to help. If you don't step in, who will? There it was. The real reason for her call, not concern. Not connection, control. That's not my problem anymore, Elena. Then don't expect the family to treat you the same. Her voice cracked, not from sadness, but from rage she couldn't contain. You think you're a hero for setting boundaries? You're just selfish. Selfish and spiteful. And one day when you're alone, you'll regret not being there when your family needed you. That hit something, but not the way she wanted, because for years I was there. I gave and gave and gave. And all it got me was a cot in a kid's room and crumbs of affection wrapped in expectation. I hung up. Didn't say another word. The next morning, I got coffee by the beach. Walked along the cliffs. Watched the sea crash below with a kind of calm I hadn't felt in years, until I got a message from Ava, the new nanny Elena had supposedly hired. "Hi Nora. I'm so sorry to bother you. Elena said you might be able to watch the boys for just 15 minutes. It's urgent." A chill ran down my spine. I stared at the message. 15 minutes. Just like last year. Just like always. I could hear Elena's voice behind those words, sugarcoating a command with fake sweetness, but I wasn't that version of myself anymore. I called Ava. "I appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not the babysitter. If Elena needed coverage, she should have planned better. I hope you understand." A pause. Then Ava's soft reply. "I do. Thank you." I hung up. Then texted Josh. "She's trying to pass the kids to me again." Through Ava this time. He responded in 2 minutes. "I'll handle it. You won't be asked again." That afternoon, I arrived late to the family's group picnic. Everyone was already there. Elena didn't look at me. Josh did. He gave me a small nod. Mom tried to smile, but it was tight. Forced. She handed me a cup of lemonade and said quietly, "We heard about this morning." "I'm sorry." Elena should have known better. I didn't reply, not to be cold, but because there was nothing left to say. I wasn't here to argue. I wasn't here to explain myself. I was here to live on my terms, and for the first time, that was enough. But later that evening, something unexpected happened. Elena sat beside me. No sarcasm. No guilt. No passive-aggressive jokes, just one quiet sentence. "Thank you for not making a scene earlier." I looked at her. Calm. Steady. I don't need to raise my voice for someone to understand what shouldn't be done. She blinked, but didn't fight it. Didn't argue, and in that silence, something cracked. Not like glass. Not like a scream, but like ice thawing. The war wasn't over. But maybe the tide had begun to turn. I should have felt relief after that picnic. I should have felt proud, for setting boundaries, for holding the line, for not crumbling when Elena tried to rope me in again. But peace is a strange thing when you've never truly lived with it. It can feel like silence before a storm, and I was right, because the real confrontation hadn't even begun. The next few days passed in a strange, fragile rhythm. I joined a few family activities. On my terms. Dinners, hikes, one sunset beach fire. Nobody asked me to babysit. Nobody tried to guilt me, not to my face at least. But Elena's smiles were thin. Forced. Like she was wearing a mask that barely fit. Josh stayed close to the boys, often pulling them away before they could run to me with Aunt Nora requests. Mom and Dad kept trying to be neutral Switzerland with matching sun hats, and me, I was watching. Listening, waiting, because I knew Elena, and people like her don't let go. They reload. It happened on the 5th day. I was sketching on the deck of my hotel room, something I hadn't done in months, when my phone buzzed with a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was a link, and one sentence. "You've been busy." I clicked. It was a screenshot. Someone had posted my Reddit story, the viral one, to a local Facebook group for parents in Silverpine. But now it wasn't anonymous. My name was attached. My photo. And worse. Elena had left a comment underneath. "Sad when someone has to lie online for attention. Families aren't perfect, but some people just crave drama." My hands went cold. It was her. She outed me. She made it personal. Public. Turned my truth into a spectacle, and that's when I realized this wasn't just about babysitting anymore. This was about power, because I had taken the narrative away from her. And Elena would rather destroy my reputation than admit she was wrong. She wanted the world to see me as unstable, bitter, ungrateful, but she forgot one thing. I wasn't silent anymore. That night, I didn't go to the family dinner. I texted Josh instead. "Can we meet?" "Alone." He replied almost instantly. "Absolutely. Tonight." We met at a quiet coastal cafe just after dusk. No kids. No Elena. Josh looked more tired than I'd ever seen him. But also clearer. Like the fog had lifted. "I know," he said before I could speak. "I saw the post. I saw what she did. I didn't know she'd stoop to that. I studied him." He looked ashamed. "She used your voice as a weapon. And now she's trying to discredit me for using mine." Josh nodded slowly. Then said something I didn't expect. "She lied to me. About money. About how much support she gave you during last year's trip. She told me she paid you, left cash in envelopes." I believed her. I let out a dry laugh. There were no envelopes. He winced. I checked. Confronted her. She admitted it. The silence between us was heavy. "I love her," he said quietly. "But I won't defend what she's doing. I won't let her ruin you just because you finally said no. Something in my chest shifted. So what now? I asked. Josh looked down at his hands, then back up. She needs help. Real help. Not just therapy appointments she skips. She's spiraling. And I think part of her always resented you. I wasn't surprised. When you're the one who carries quietly, the ones who scream for attention often hate that. You make their chaos obvious just by being calm. The next day I did something bold that I posted a follow-up on Reddit. Still anonymous, but this time I didn't care who guessed that I told them what happened. How my sister outed me. How she tried to flip the story and make me the villain. And I ended it with this. This isn't revenge. This is defense. If I let her rewrite the truth, then silence wins again. And I've bled too much in silence already. The post went viral again. Only this time people began finding Elena's comment. Her post. Her bitter replies. Screenshots were shared. Threads started popping up dissecting her manipulation tactics. Suddenly it wasn't just about me. Other people were chiming in with their own Elena stories. Sisters. Mothers. Bosses. Friends. The story stopped being personal and became universal. And I think that's what scared her the most. Because Elena didn't just lose control of me, she lost control of the narrative. That night I got a knock on my hotel room door that I didn't answer right away. Then came the voice. It's me. I opened the door. There she was. Elena. No makeup. No perfect mom filter. Just red eyes and a wild, shaking energy I hadn't seen before. You destroyed me, she whispered. I didn't flinch. I told the truth. That's not destruction. That's exposure. She stepped inside uninvited. Paced like a trapped animal. People at Nathan's job saw it. His boss's wife shared the post. Do you have any idea what you've done? I crossed my arms. Do you? You're bitter. Jealous. That's what this is. You hate that I have a family. I blinked. And then I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound that felt like slicing through years of fake smiles. No, Elena. I hate that you think motherhood makes you royalty. That exhaustion gives you the right to use people. That because I'm single, I don't have a life worth protecting. She looked like I'd slapped her. But I wasn't done. You don't get to drown and drag me under with you just because you're tired. We're all tired. But I didn't ask you to carry my weight. Elena's lip trembled. But the rage was still there. Underneath the tears. Boiling. So what, you're perfect now? The voice of every oppressed sister. I shook my head slowly. No. I'm just not your shadow anymore. She stared at me for a long moment. Then turned and left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't cry, she just walked out. And I stood there, breath shaking. Not from fear. But from freedom. Because the confrontation had finally happened. Not just with her. But with myself. The next morning Josh texted me. She's gone back to the house. Said she needs space. Thank you for standing your ground. It might be the only thing that wakes her up. That night I walked the beach alone. The waves rolled in like memory. Cold. Steady. I stood ankle deep in the water and looked out into the dark. And I said it. Out loud. I'm not the helper. I'm not the backup. I'm not the one you call when you run out of options. I'm not the good daughter anymore. The wind carried it away. And the silence that followed. For the first time it didn't scare me. It felt like truth. And truth, I've learned, is the sharpest form of revenge. I didn't tell anyone what happened the night Elena came to my hotel. I didn't need to. The next morning, her absence spoke louder than anything she could have yelled at. No texts. No guilt-tripped emojis. No updates in the group chat. Just silence. Josh took the boys to breakfast alone. Mom looked stiff, like she was trying not to ask questions. Dad fumbled with small talk about the weather. No one mentioned Elena. But I saw it in their faces, the shift. Something had broken. And this time it wasn't me. To be day 6 of the trip. I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Truly done. It wasn't numbness. It wasn't bitterness. It was clarity. All those years I kept quiet, kept the peace, kept the role. They hadn't earned my loyalty. They had expected it. Demanded it. Assumed it. And I had handed it over without question. But now I could feel the truth down to my bones. Love without respect is just obligation wearing a mask. And I was about to rip that mask off for good. That night Mom called me to the beach. Just her and me. No kids. No Josh. No Elena. She brought a thermos of tea like we were going to pretend this was a bonding moment. Nora, your sister's having a really hard time. I didn't say anything. She's gone back to Silverpine early. She said she needs space. And Josh, well, he's been quiet too. Still, I said nothing. Do you think maybe you could take down the post? She asked softly. Just for the sake of peace? There it was, the ask. The same ask I'd heard all my life, wrapped in new words. Keep the peace. Don't stir things up. Be the bigger person. Translation: go back to being silent, Nora. But I wasn't silent anymore. No, I said flatly. The post stays. But it's hurting the family. No, I corrected. It's exposing what's always been there. The post didn't create this mess, Mom. It just stopped hiding it. She looked hurt. But I didn't flinch. You let her treat me like help, I continued. You watched her dump her kids on me. You handed me a key to the kids' room and smiled like it was a gift. And when I said no this year, you made me the problem. You could have said something then, she whispered. Would you have listened? She didn't answer. We sat in silence for a while, the ocean roaring behind us. Then she asked the question I'd been waiting for. So what do you want from us, Nora? And for the first time, I had the answer ready. Respect. Boundaries. And if I say no, I want it to mean no, not guilt, not manipulation, not exile. Just no. She looked away. You've changed. No, I said. I've arrived. The final day of the trip came. And with it, a storm. Literally. Clouds rolled in. The wind howled. The beach trip was canceled. Everyone stayed indoors, shuffling through the rental house like ghosts in a play no one wanted to act in anymore. I stayed at my hotel. Drank wine in bed. Watched lightning flash over the ocean. Felt more at peace than I had in years, until my phone buzzed. Josh. Can we meet? Just you and me. Before we all go home. I agreed. Not because I owed him, but because he was the only one who had stepped forward instead of retreating. We met at a quiet cafe near the cliff edge. Josh looked tired, but steady. I'm leaving, he said. I blinked. You mean? I'm taking the boys back to my parents' place for now. I told Elena she needs to get help. Real help. Or this doesn't work. I stared at him. Not because I was shocked, but because someone had finally done what I had done, drawn a line. She's not evil, he said carefully, but she's built her world on control. And when you took yours back, she collapsed. I didn't mean to destroy her. You didn't. You just refused to carry her anymore. And she realized she doesn't know how to walk without you. I looked out the window. So what now? Josh sighed. Now we wait. She says she'll start therapy. She says she wants to change. But I told her words won't fix this. Only action. That night something snapped in me. Not anger. Resolved. That I went back to my hotel, opened my laptop, and pulled out every message, every photo, every journal entry I'd ever saved from the last 5 years of being treated like a second-class member of my own family. That I wasn't going to post it. I didn't need the world to weigh in again. But I wrote it. All of it. Line by line. Date by date. I wanted me to see I did know I wasn't crazy. I hadn't exaggerated. I wasn't overreacting. I had endured. And now, I was done enduring. 2 weeks after the vacation ended, I got a knock on my apartment door. It was Elena. She looked different. No perfect hair. No polished face. Just a woman stripped bare by consequence. Josh stood a few steps behind her. Arms crossed. She handed me an envelope. Didn't speak. I opened it. Inside were receipts. Dates. Transfers. Repayment. Every unpaid hour I'd spent watching her kids. Every trip to the store she forgot to pay me back for. Every birthday I bought gifts for her children while she forgot mine. Every cent. My heart raced. Not because of the money, because of what it meant. Then she spoke. I'm sorry. The words weren't dramatic. Weren't rehearsed. Just quiet. For using you. For blaming you. For treating your kindness like currency. I don't know if I'll ever undo it. But I want to try. I stared at her. Then looked at Josh. He gave me a nod. A real one. Solid. Elena stepped back. I'm seeing a therapist. I'm not asking for a reset. I'm asking for space. For a chance to earn whatever might still be there. I held the envelope tight. And finally asked the question that had burned in me since I was a teenager. Do you even like me, Elena? She blinked. I didn't, she admitted. Not because of you. Because you reminded me of everything I wasn't. Calm. Focused. In control. And I punished you for it. A lump rose in my throat. Not because it hurt. Because for the first time it made sense. You don't have to forgive me today, she whispered. But I'll wait. As long as it takes. Then she left. And I closed the door with my back against it. Heart pounding. Because the moment had come. Not just the apology, but the shift that I wasn't the backup anymore, that I was the mirror. And Elena finally saw herself. That night I burned my old journals. Not to forget. But because I didn't need proof anymore that I had lived it. Survived it. And now I was rising from my no more nice. No more quiet. This was my life. And I was going to live it like it was mine. It's been 4 months since that summer. 4 months since I slammed the door behind Elena and whispered to the silence that I wasn't afraid of her anymore. 4 months since I stopped apologizing for needing space. For wanting rest. For saying no. And in that time, everything changed. Not like a fairy tale. Not like a happy ending tied in a bow. But like tectonic plates shifting deep under the surface. Quiet. But irreversible. Elena kept her word. She went to therapy. Josh confirmed it. Said she never missed a session. Even texted me once, cautiously, that Elena cried through half of her second appointment after the therapist said something she couldn't ignore. Motherhood is not a crown you wear to command others. It's a role you chose, not one you get to outsource to your sister. Apparently she didn't scream. She just sat there stunned. Shaking. Good, because truth should shake you. It should unmake you before it remakes you. The family for once adapted. Mom no longer sends me guilt-laced invitations. She texts, "Are you free for dinner?" Not, "We need you." Dad started building a birdhouse with his own hands instead of asking me to fix the patio for him. Even Josh changed. He's more present with the kids. He takes them alone on weekends, sends me updates sometimes with a little, "You be proud" at the end. And Elena, well, she finally learned to ask, not demand. Not assume. Not guilt trip. Just ask, and even more importantly, she learned to take no. I still don't see them weekly. I don't bend backwards. I don't babysit on demand. I've built a life around my own rhythm now. I take on better clients at the design studio. I've started painting again. I even rented a small studio downtown with big windows and soft jazz playing all day. But the most unexpected part, Emily, the woman who works at the bookstore down the street. The one with the calm voice and the eyes that see everything. She messaged me on Instagram a few weeks after my Reddit post went viral. "I read your story. I know it's you. And I just want to say thank you. You put into words what so many of us have been too scared to say." We started getting coffee. Then long walks. Then gallery dates. No pressure. No rushing. Just two women who'd learned the cost of silence and decided they were done paying it. She listens when I speak, not to reply. Not to fix. Just to witness. And for someone like me, that's a kind of love I never knew I needed. Last week, Mom invited me to dinner. Just her and Dad. No obligations. No agenda. They reserved my favorite booth at the Pines. Brought dessert without asking. Halfway through the meal, Dad cleared his throat. "We're planning another trip. Just a weekend retreat. And we wanted to ask if you'd like to join." I raised an eyebrow. Waited. Mom jumped in softly. "Separate rooms. No child duties. No schedules. Just company. On your terms." I nodded slowly, not a yes. Not a no, just a consideration, because now they knew. If they wanted my presence, they had to earn it. But the final note to this story, that came a few nights ago. A handwritten card slipped under my apartment door. Elena's handwriting. Still sharp and looping like she had something to prove, but smaller now. More careful. Inside, just one sentence. "Thank you for not staying quiet forever." No explanations. No emotional blackmail. Just truth. I sat with it for a long time. Not because it changed everything, but because it meant she had finally stopped trying to rewrite the story. I still keep my own hotel room when we travel. I still say no when I'm tired. I still choose peace over pleasing. And I still draw hard lines when people try to cross me with old expectations. Because once you've tasted freedom, the kind that comes from breaking every invisible chain, you never go back. Not to silence. Not to sacrifice. Not to survival mode dressed up as family duty. Sometimes people ask me if I regret going public. If I regret posting the truth. Here's my answer. Regret is for those who stayed silent and called it love. I called it what it was, and I chose myself, not because I wanted revenge, but because I was the revenge. I was the mirror no one asked for. And the reflection they couldn't deny. Now, when I walk into a room, I don't wonder who needs something from me. I ask one question. Do I want to be here? If the answer is no, I leave, not out of spite, out of power. Because silence was never my weakness. It was just the first weapon I laid down. Now I carry something sharper: choice. And with it, I've carved out a life that finally, fully belongs to me.